Welcome to another Create.Control tutorial video. In this video, we'll cover the what, why, and how of dynamic patching in Create.Control. Dynamic patching refers to the ability to fluidly and seamlessly repatch the audio or control data in real time. The control data is the data that is sent to control the soundscape processor, but does not contain the audio itself. In Create.Control, we have the ability to dynamically repatch the control data for our sound objects to NSCENE-enabled DS100 inputs. Here's an example of why you would use this. Let's say you're working front of house at a music festival and you have two bands playing on your stage, one after the other. The first band, Act 1, has their own Create.Control instance and mixing console routed into the DS100. The first band's mixing console is routing their audio via Dante channels 1 through 16 into the DS100, and the Create.Control project on their laptop is connected to the DS100 via a separate network and sending control data to control NSCENE inputs 1 through 16. But when Act 2 shows up, we see that they've also got their Create.Control and mixing console set up for the same audio and control channels. But this simply won't work. To resolve this, we must repatch their audio via the Dante controller into different DS100 inputs. Here I'll use inputs 17 through 32. And in the Create.Control project on Act 2's laptop, we must repatch their 16 objects to match, starting from input 17. Then we're up and running, ready for a smooth transition between acts. Let's take a look at how we make these adjustments in Create.Control. For demonstration purposes, I will have both bands in the same Create.Control project, but most likely in the real world, they will be two separate instances of Create.Control running on two separate laptops. Because both bands are in this demonstration Create.Control project, we see that Act 1, labeled in red, is currently patched into inputs 1 through 16. Act 2, labeled in green, is not patched to anything, as we see no numbers next to these sound objects. That's because when they were previously routed into 1 through 16, this created a conflict. It is not possible to route the control data for two objects into the same input. So instead, we need to route them separately. Here under Project Settings and on the Control Patch page, we see where our control data for our sound objects are routed into NSCENE-enabled inputs. And we can see further down all of the matrix-enabled inputs denoted by this other icon. And we're unable to patch our control data into these inputs because they're unable to use it. Additionally, we have two handy functions, the Clear All, which will remove all connections, and Auto Patch, which will sequentially patch all unassigned sound objects to unused NSCENE input channels. In this case, we simply need to patch Band 2's control data sequentially starting from input 17. We can, of course, simply click and drag to make our patching assignments, but it's much easier to simply use the Auto Patch function, which I'll do now. And we're up and running. Great. However, if we need to swap the bands, we'll clear all and then route Act 2 to inputs 1 through 16. And then use the Auto Patch function to finish up. And that's it, you're all set. Additionally, the Auto Patch function is very intelligent. If we have a seemingly random series of patch assignments like we see here, and we notice that some of our objects are left unpatched, if we use the Auto Patch, it will sequentially assign those remaining objects to available NSCENE-enabled inputs on your soundscape processor, making it much easier for you to manage your objects and make sure they're connected to an NSCENE-enabled input on your soundscape processor. And it's really that easy to repatch your control data using Create.Control. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.